Hi, I'm Luke Machin from The Tangent and Machine, and you're watching liveprog.
In this video review, I'm bringing you a band from Israel, a progressive metal band. This one, Distorted Harmony, and their album is called Utopia. Although when I got it, I thought it was the other way around, but I was mistaken. I found out that there is a sort of a metal scene in Israel, because I've already heard a couple of bands there, progressive metal bands as well. Solstice Coil, for example, in the more oriental metal scene, Orphaned Land, and now a new band. This is their debut album, Distorted Harmony. Distorted Harmony is a young band, and they are full of energy, they are full of passion, and their goal is to become the leading progressive metal band in Israel. That's quite a goal when you start out with your debut album. But I gotta be honest, it is a very impressive debut album. It kind of caught me by surprise, but after a lot of listening, I gotta say, yes, a very good debut album, so a very good calling card for the band. Very often in reviews, any progressive metal band is compared to Dream Theater. I still don't understand why, because there are so many other fantastic prog metal bands around, so why not compare it with them? What makes Dream Theater so special that we have to measure up every band with them? There are a lot of bands out there that give Dream Theater a run for their money, and I think Distorted Harmony are among them. Why? Because they bring a very surprising album, and that's what I noticed when I was listening to the album, and it took me a while to really understand how complex the songs were that they composed. Sometimes I compare listening to a band like riding a roller coaster. You go from one side to the other. But there are these roller coasters that are in the dark. They're inside, you don't see where you're going, so you have no idea which way it's going to turn. That is this album. It's a sort of a roller coaster in the dark, because the band combines several kinds of styles of music together in their debut album that makes it unpredictable. And even if you have listened to the album a couple of times, you are still surprised by the direction that the band takes. Because it is progressive metal, absolutely. If you listen to the guitars and the drums, but also the bass, how tight together they play. But what an amazing riffs, really crunchy, heavy riffs you find in this album. Absolutely metal, and I love it very much. I gotta say that makes it a very heavy album. But at the same time, if you look at the opening track, Cohen Yume, it starts with a really soft, beautiful classical piano piece. Then it moves into the more metal. The second track, Breathe, starts out with an acoustic guitar. And if we look at the last track of the album called Utopia, the title track, it really begins with a sort of a classical arrangement. So they bring in different styles. Even when you listen to the album, as I mentioned, it's metal, but you also hear classical influences and you also hear jazz influences. And for some reason they managed to make it a musically very interesting combination. 6 tracks, but 6 amazing tracks ranging between 7 and 12 minutes. There's a lot to enjoy when you listen to this album. I mentioned the heavy riffs in the guitar. It's not just heavy riffing, there are also really nice solos and some softer parts where you can see that Guy Landau, the guitar player of the band, is a really talented guitar player. Also, what I like very much is the bass player. He stands out. Sometimes the bass is often just in the mix with the drums being the rhythm section. But on this album, Iggy Cohen, the bass player, really stands out. You know, you really hear his, well, sometimes almost funky bass in the mix. Very nice that he stands out a little bit, because, you know, that also gives the music another sound than if it's just a part of the rhythm section. The keyboards. I mentioned the piano part at the beginning of the album, but throughout the album there are really amazing, very proggy keyboard sections. And it can be a solo, it can be an intro, it can be just a sort of a layer of keyboards throughout the song, but very tasty. And again, in contrast with the metal, it works very well.
No matter where life is unfair, our souls are forgotten. Days come and go, nobody knows just when will it happen.
The band really is trying to find a style of their own. That is a little bit difficult for them because it is still very solid metal, you know? I think the band has a good start with this album, but I think they really need to work on creating their own sound. And I think with the combination that they do here of classical, jazz and metal, that they are onto something very interesting, could be very promising, so it would be nice for the band to keep on developing that. The only thing that really didn't capture me were the vocals. The singer is a good one. Technically everything is really good. The mix is very good, the production is very good, but the vocals just didn't do it for me. I expected the vocals to be a little more metal. The singer is more like a pop singer. So yeah, for some reason that was the only part of this album that didn't really do it for me. But musically very interesting, very promising. So they still have a way to go to becoming Israel's leading prog band, but I think they have a very good start with this album. All I can say is check it out. Now, if you want to check it out, there's something I noticed on the CD that kind of disappointed me a little bit. The band says here that unauthorized copying, lending, hiring, diffusion and broadcasting of this record is okay. They gave the album away for free when it was just released. You could download it from the website and you could just have it. And basically they say you can copy or share this album whatever you like. That is a bit of a disappointment because this enhances the idea that people already have that music is free. You don't have to pay for it. And I think music is something you have to pay for. Musicians need to pay the rent, need to have clothes, need to buy equipment or rent a studio to record their music. So it is only normal, it's only logical that we pay for the music. So when bands give it away, it is of course their choice, but I think they're sending out the wrong message. So I would suggest if you really like this music, buy the album and show the band that you appreciate what they're doing.